a temple constructed thousands of years ago, built to commemorate a sudden profound visitation by the gods, a sacred flame believed by ancient population to be the sole gateway to the heavens, and cryptic, primordial hymns composed for the explicit purpose of communicating with entities from another world. According to ancient ritual texts, these ceremonies allowed humans to temporarily re-enter the domain of the divine. There, by aligning with a precise, harmonious resonance, practitioners claimed to converse directly with supernatural beings. Across the globe, ancient civilizations and modern cultures alike have harbored distinct methods for bridging the gap between humanity and the supreme. What if the revered gods of antiquity were actually cosmic travelers, voyagers, who touched down on Earth and provided the foundational blueprints for human civilization? Part 3. Aliens and Ritual Sacrifices. We are accustomed to a linear perspective of human progress, a gradual evolution from primitive stone tools to the zenith of modern technology. Yet, a vast tapestry of oral tradition from indigenous cultures complicates this orthodox historical narrative. To examine this, one can look to a peculiar annual ritual preserved by the Kayapo people deep within the Amazon rainforest of Brazil. During their annual celebration honoring Bep Kororoti, a legendary figure explicitly described as a visitor from the cosmos, a member of the tribe dons an elaborate garment woven from native fibers. The silhouette of this ritual attire bears a striking, uncanny resemblance to a modern astronaut spacesuit. According to tribal elders, this enigmatic figure originally descended from the mountains. Legends dictate that the community became captivated by this outsider, drawn to his strangely luminous skin and his sweeping benevolence. The narrative insists that this mysterious guest possessed a level of intellect far superior to anyone in the tribe, introducing invaluable survival skills to the indigenous population. But the chronicle takes a dark turn. One day, Bep Kororoti fell into a towering rage, shouting warnings to the villagers to maintain their distance. At the foot of the mountain, the tribe witnessed him ascend into the heavens amidst a cataclysmic explosion that shook the landscape. Bep Kororoti vanished entirely into a vortex of fire, smoke, and thunder. The physical force of his departure was said to be so violent that ancient trees were uprooted and the jungle was decimated. If the story ended there, it could easily be dismissed as folklore, a dramatic tale shaped by generations of retelling. Yet, what makes the Kayapo tradition so intriguing is its consistency. The central elements rarely change. A visitor descending from above, extraordinary knowledge shared with the people, a powerful energy capable of inspiring both fear and admiration, and finally, a fiery departure into the sky. These motifs appear again and again in cultures separated by oceans, languages, and thousands of years of history. Could such similarities emerge purely by coincidence? Or are they fragments of a much older memory, preserved through ritual, long after the original event faded from human understanding? When the history of the Kayapo was first documented by ethnologists in 1952, the distinct design of the woven suit used in the ceremony had not yet appeared in any blueprints or conceptual drawings of modern space agencies. Even the primitive description of the astronaut's departure mirror the ignition sequence of modern propulsion technology. The sky traveler returned to a specialized vehicle described metaphorically as a giant tree trunk, manipulating internal controls until the craft lifted off the ground and vanished instantly into the atmosphere. While the Kayapo expressed their cosmic memory through physical costuming, a deeper, more unsettling manifestation of this phenomenon is found in West Africa, guarded by the Dogon tribe of Mali. The Dogon, do not rely on elaborate visual reenactments of sky travelers. Unlike many ancient traditions, the mystery surrounding the Dogon is not centered on architecture, monument, or sacred relics. It is centered on information. Knowledge passed from one generation to the next. Knowledge that, according to the elders, did not originate from human observation alone. If true, this would represent a radically different form of evidence. Not a physical artifact buried beneath the earth, but a body of data preserved in memory for centuries. In 1947, French anthropologist Marcel Griol was initiated into one of the tribe's most fiercely guarded secrets. The High Elders detailed how the Nomo, described as amphibious entities descending from the stars, arrived on Earth to seed advanced civilization. Despite maintaining a basic desert-bound lifestyle, the Dogon elders possessed an incredibly accurate comprehension of our solar system, an understanding they attribute entirely to the Nomo. They casually detailed the existence of Jupiter's 4 primary Galilean moons, the complex planetary rings of Saturn, and the spiral structure of our home galaxy, the Milky Way. But the most mathematically staggering data concerns the Sirius star system. Long before the advent of modern telescopes, this desert tribe had preserved tradition describing Sirius A, Sirius B, and Sirius C. While Sirius A and B are well documented, the existence of a third star, Sirius C, remains the subject of ongoing astronomical debate. Yet, for centuries, the Dogon not only claimed this invisible celestial body existed, but they also described its properties in surprisingly detailed terms. Skeptics frequently argue that the Dogon must have interacted with a Western astronomer in the early 20th century, absorbed the information, and retrofitted it into their pre-existing mythology. But does that dismissal represent an objective search for truth? Or is it a defensive mechanism designed to protect an ethnocentric worldview, the belief that our modern era holds an absolute monopoly on advanced scientific thought? To find an answer, we must look across the Atlantic, to the enigmatic world of the Maya. Flourishing over 2 millennia ago across the Yucatan Peninsula, the ancient Maya developed staggering advancements in architecture, mathematics, and precise chronological tracking. Standing at the epicenter of their ruins is the Temple of Kukulkan, a monumental stepped pyramid dedicated to the feathered serpent god. The structure itself serves as a perfect architectural bridge between the human and the divine. However, the site is also remembered for hosting some of the most harrowing rituals in Mesoamerican history: human sacrifice. Captives were escorted to the absolute summit of the pyramid, where priests would extract the beating heart in a solemn offering of blood. Ritual texts indicate that this practice held an ultimate cosmic significance. The gods would only hear human supplications when sealed with life force. On the spring equinox, as the sun crests the horizon, a brilliant optical illusion occurs. The precise angle of the sunlight interacts with the stepped tiers of the pyramid, creating the vivid visual of a colossal undulating serpent slithering down the side of the grand staircase. While modern science correctly classifies this as a masterful application of archaeoastronomy, the sheer engineering required to calculate this effect across centuries is staggering. Roughly 1.5 kilometers from the pyramid lies the sacred cenote, a massive natural sinkhole measuring 60 meters in diameter. Young women were cast into the depths, believed to become eternal attendants to the water deity. Modern archaeological divers, exploring the sediment beneath the cenote, have recovered over 100 human skeletons, alongside an immense treasury of gold, jade, and ancient artifacts. Such extraordinary sacrifices reveal just how real these beliefs were to the people who practiced them. To the modern mind, these ceremonies can appear incomprehensible. Why would an advanced civilization invest such enormous resources into rituals centered on celestial beings? Why construct vast pyramids aligned to the movements of the heavens? Why dedicate entire priesthoods to preserving astronomical cycles with extraordinary precision? The Maya did not behave as though their gods were abstract philosophical concepts. They behaved as though those gods were real forces, capable of influencing the fate of entire kingdoms. That distinction may prove far more important than it first appears. What if these rituals were distorted historical echoes of actual contact? A desperate generational attempt to re-establish a lost connection with extraterrestrial entities. If these ancient rituals were indeed echoes of physical encounters, did those entities leave behind any direct, tangible portraits? In 1862, inside the state of Tabasco, Mexico, oil prospectors accidentally uncovered a monumental stone sculpture. A colossal human head weighing over 20 tons. Over the next 50 years, 16 additional heads were excavated. While mainstream archaeology views them as localized depictions, some researchers have argued that several facial features appear unusual when compared with later Mesoamerican artistic traditions. These anomalies belong to the Olmecs, the first major civilization to emerge in pre-Columbian Mexico. While mainstream archaeology classifies them as portraits of powerful rulers or high priests, one intriguing detail complicates this conclusion. Wrapped tightly around the skull of each colossal head is a specialized form-fitting helmet. Its structural design bears an uncanny resemblance to the headgear of modern astronauts. Could these massive Olmec sculptures be a precise historical documentation of visitors from another world? Supporters of the ancient astronaut hypothesis often point to a recurring pattern. Across history, whenever cultures attempted to portray beings associated with divine authority, unusual headgear frequently appeared. Crowns, helmets, elaborate headdresses, sometimes ceremonial, sometimes functional. Whether these designs were purely symbolic or inspired by something physically observed remains a matter of intense debate. But the repetition itself is difficult to ignore. Why do so many ancient cultures associate knowledge from the heavens with figures wearing specialized head coverings, unlike those of ordinary people? Like the Olmecs, completely disconnected civilization across millennia have shared an unyielding conviction that certain individuals could communicate with entities from the stars. Precisely, what were these beings? Were they the ephemeral gods of myth? Or were they physical flesh and blood extraterrestrials possessing a technology that shattered human comprehension? From the rainforests of Brazil to the deserts of Mali, from the pyramids of Mexico to the ceremonial centers of ancient civilizations scattered across the globe. A strange pattern continues to emerge. Different languages, different continents, different eras, yet the same recurring themes. Visitors descending from the sky. Knowledge bestowed upon humanity. Sacred rituals designed to maintain contact. And enduring traditions preserving those memories long after the original events had passed into legend. Perhaps these are nothing more than universal myths born from the human imagination. Or perhaps mythology itself is the final surviving record of encounters we no longer fully understand. While time has erased the definitive operational manuals for these ancient anomalies, the physical footprints left behind remain impossible to ignore. If completely disconnected civilizations, separated by vast oceans and thousands of years, all independently insisted that visitors descended from the sky, could they all have been describing the exact same phenomenon? What do you believe? Were our ancestors worshipping creators born of pure faith? Or were they desperately trying to catalogue a real cosmic visitation? Join the conversation in the comments below as we continue to assemble these extraordinary pieces of our past. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next investigation. I'm Eddie for Facts 360, and I will see you in the next video.